Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are coming to you live from the very bipolar Kansas City. We are about to hit every season in 1 week. It's great. Right now, it's about 80 degrees, humidity, and thunderstorms are heading our way. And then in the next 2 days, we have freeze advisories because we are getting so cold. Welcome to the Midwest in the springtime. Good times, isn't it? But we are done with another weekend of running. We did the Easter Egg 10K this past weekend, a fun little race in Overland Park, Kansas. Not a big deal. I did do something rather stupid, though. And I know we've all done this before, and I've certainly done it several times, and I did it again. So I'll tell you about this. I actually talked myself out of a race because of just the stupidest thing. So we get to the Easter egg race. It's not the biggest race here in town. It's one of our local ones. We do it every year. No big deal. 5K and 10K, blah, blah, blah. We do it through the area they call South Creek Office Park. A lot of us have run South Creek Office Park before. Whenever I do it, I've always done it a certain way. Like we have a certain route that always happens through South Creek. This year, when we started the Easter egg 10K, we did not start the way I'm used to starting. Okay, we started and we kind of go out the starting line and do this little loopy loop thing through a parking lot. And then I'm used to taking a left into another parking lot, going through that parking lot and off to the street where we go up and around to the hospital and then down to the main road and then back around to blah, 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 blah. We didn't do that. As we are going down the very first hill and I look left where we're supposed to turn left, we didn't turn left. We continued straight, thinking, oh no, if we continue straight, we're going to get to the course, the end of the course that I'm used to. So, what basically, this is my long winded way of saying we did it backwards. Doing this race backwards means infinitely more uphill action. I love the South Creek office course because it is all downhill, especially for like the last mile of the race. If you do it backwards, it's all uphill, including the very first mile of the race. So I talked myself out of having a good race right from the go, right from the opening bit where we make the left onto it's a street called what is that, Knoll? It's either Knoll or Row, one of the two. I think it's Knoll. And we start going up this long hill that I'm used to coming down to finish the race. So we're starting on an uphill. I'm doing the 10K. After the first 5K, I'm already out of it because like this wasn't the course I expected. And there were more hills than I wanted. And it just nothing went right. So after having such a great half marathon last weekend in Liberty, I laid an egg at the Easter egg 10K. And now I'm doing everything I can not to get in my own mind about Rock the Parkway half marathon next weekend. Okay. I had a 10K. I had a bad 10K here on Saturday. It wasn't my worst time, not even by far. But in my mind, it was not a good race. In my mind, I did not perform well. And now with a half marathon on the horizon, a half marathon that if you listened in last week, I thought I wanted to try and PR. All right. I did really well last week in Liberty. This was my little tune up run. And then I was thinking maybe I'll try for a PR at Rock the Parkway. And now a bad 10K is in my head. So I don't know what I'm going to do about Rock the Parkway. We're going to hope that this was just a bad rehearsal before the really good performance coming up next weekend. So that's what we're going to go with. That's what I hope is going to happen. But, you know, we've all been there before where when you start a race and maybe something's different, or you just get in your own mind that something isn't right or something that is different, it can take you out of your entire race. And that is sure as heck what happened to me. Yes, this was race number 276 in my lifetime, and I still can take myself out of a race simply by not making the left turn where I thought we were going to make the left turn, and by doing a course backwards that I thought we were going to do forwards, and I just completely sucked at the Easter egg 10K. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But that leads us to our next point. Next weekend is Rock the Parkway. Rock the Parkway, one of the biggest half marathons in the Kansas City area. Super excited. Always look forward to Rock the Parkway. My very first half marathon, all the way back in 2011. It was the first half marathon I ever did. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing that morning. I still normally don't have an idea on what I'm doing any race morning, but at least I've had a few in between now and then. So looking forward to it. I will see all of you that morning at Rock the Parkway. I will also see all of you on Friday at the Rock the Parkway Expo. The Back of the Pack podcast will have a booth set up. So I will be there, manning the table, talking to everyone as you come in and you get your packets for the Rock the Parkway Half Marathon. So please stop by the table and say hello. And if you are new to the podcast, then I want to absolutely meet you and say hi. And yeah, it's always a good time. We had a great time at the expo up in Liberty. Now we're going to be at Rock the Parkway. So good times coming up. Then remember the week after that, so less than 2 weeks now, I'll be in South Carolina, South Kakalaki. Here I come for the Too Slow for Boston Marathon. This got here quick. This one jumped up and surprised me. I know we just did a full marathon in Little Rock last month in March because we're now in April, but I still don't feel like I'm ready for the Too Slow for Boston Marathon. But again, we talked about it before, going to talk about it again. A race with no time limit that celebrates runners of every skill level, every single skill level. They celebrate them all. And so very much looking forward to the Too Slow for Boston Marathon in Greer, South Carolina. That's where we're going to be heading now in about 12 days. 12 days, and I'm on the road, hammer down. So cool. We're moving on through spring running season. Hooray. So this week, I thought it would be fun, and it's definitely one of the crowd favorites to go ahead and talk about other races. As we know, I'm going to try not to get emotional here. As we know, most of us didn't make the New York City Marathon. They didn't like us. They didn't take us. It's not fair. It made me, okay, I can't do that anymore. Anyway, yes, we all got our results for the New York City Marathon. Very few of us made it. There are a few people who did. And for those of you who did make it, who made the New York City Marathon coming up in November, I want you to know that for me and all of us here at the Back of the Pack podcast, if there's anything that we can do to help you to better experience the New York City Marathon, you just reach out. Let me know. Remember, I did the race back in 2021. Love the experience. If there's any questions you have for someone who has done it before, please feel free to reach out to me. I am more than happy to talk about it because, as we know, the New York City Marathon is easily one of my top favorite two races. Is it my favorite race? I'd have to sit down and really think about it. But the experience was amazing. So if you made it, please feel free to reach out with any questions you might have that you feel I could answer. To all of us who didn't, and that's most of us, we did not make the New York City Marathon. Better luck next year. A few people are trying to get in on charity bibs. Again, let us know how we can help. But I thought it might be fun. Let's talk about some other races. So they finally released kind of the top 15 best half marathons coming up in 2024. A lot of people like dream races and looking for new places to go, new adventures to have. So let's talk about this. I am sure this list is in no way, shape, or form going to try and break our hearts right off of the bat. So let's dive in. These are, let me see here, the 15 fun half marathons to run in 2024, as brought to you by Runner's World. And the very first race after we didn't make the New York City Marathon, the very first race we're going to talk about is the New York City Half Marathon. Thanks. Thanks so much. This doesn't hurt at all. Now, to be fair, this race does not take place at the same time as the big New York City Marathon. This is a different race done at a different time. But yeah, when I saw that was first on the list, I'm like, thanks. Why don't you just stick the dagger in a little more? Don't forget to twist at the end. Jerks. So the location for this is New York City. Date, Sunday, March 17th, 2024. So this article came out late. It's already over. A lot of people did hear about this race, and I heard it was actually really fun. I'm putting it on my list of half marathons I'd like to do. I think this is otherwise known as the Brooklyn Half Marathon, if memory serves. But either which way, a fun race through New York. It's already over for the year, but keep it on your calendar for 2025. The next one, this is Road Races Newport Half Marathon. And so the road is RHOD, as in Rhode Island. So this is in Newport, Rhode Island, Saturday, April 13th, 2024. They really were late getting this article out. Now I kind of feel like a chucklehead for even reading it. But again, look for 2025 if this race sounds good. If you're fascinated by Architectural Digest's home tours or love the Great Gatsby era mansions, then the Newport Half is the one for you. This race is basically a sped up walking tour of Rhode Island's affluent shoreline, with the course passing numerous gorgeous estates as it weaves its way through the seaside town. The race then ends with a pizza party on the beach, complete with complimentary Sam Adams beer. The race also partners with Race Joy for its tracking, which chirps out fun facts about local attractions you pass, a feature that isn't widely publicized, but is entertaining and informational. I've actually seen that before. The year that you did the COVID year, that you could do the London Marathon virtually, they wanted you to do it through their app, and they use this very same feature where as you got to like mile 3.5, it would say, well, at mile 3.5 on the London Marathon, if you were to look left, you would see blah, 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 blah. It's kind of a cool feature. Not definitely not one that a lot of races offer, but anytime you could use an app and get kind of a tour while you're doing a race, I think that's a pretty cool thing. I think more races need to do that. That would be fun. The next one, 500 Festival Mini Marathon. This is in Indianapolis, Indiana, Saturday, May 4th, so you have a chance if you're quick. And this says, vroom, vroom. You may be running a bit slower than an Indy car, which can hit speeds over 200 miles an hour, but you can still compete on the same track. The prestigious Indy 500 happens every spring, and in the lead up to the car race, runners are able to participate in a half marathon that includes a lap of the 2.5-mile long circuit. Then it's back towards the finish line and the checkered flag. So yes, this is the half marathon that takes you on the Indy 500 track. Used to be that it finished on the Indy 500 track at the finish line where the cars finish. That is not the case anymore, but you still get to do part of the track. You get to go over the bricks of the finish line. I'm sure a few people might stop and take photos there, but a race that has been on my short list for a while that I would like to get to. The next one, Santa Barbara Wine Country Half Marathon. I bet you'll never guess where or what this race is about. The Santa Barbara Wine Country Half Marathon in Solvang, California, Saturday, May 11th, 2024. While drinking wine, interesting English here, while drinking wine while running might be ill-advised, celebrating a completed 13.1 with a glass or two of wine sounds lovely. The organizers of this race agree, as the post-race party doubles as a wine tasting festival. After jogging through vineyards in Southern California, you can sample local wines with a festival pass. No better way to mark your accomplishments with a toast of Sauvignon Blanc and cheers. There we go. The next one, the Acadia Half Marathon. The picture they show here is quite beautiful. Looks like it's along a lakeshore. The Courtesy Acadia Half Marathon. The location, Bar Harbor, Maine, Sunday, June 2nd, 2024. One of the best features of the United States is its national park system that preserves spectacular natural landscapes across the country. Several of these parks now host half marathons, and one of the most gorgeous is in Maine's scenic Acadia National Park. Starting and finishing in Bar Harbor near Mount Desert Island Ice Cream, which is a must-try. The course then loops through the wooded island with stints along the shore. You also might get splashed by Thunder Hole. You might get splashed by Thunder Hole. Moving on. Oh, we've talked about this one before, and this one I still want to do. And you know what? Maybe in 2025, we get a group to go do this because this one sounds like so much fun. The Hatfield McCoy Blackberry Mountain Half Marathon and River Road Half Marathon. This is in Williamson, West Virginia, Saturday, June 8th, 2024. Unless you're an elite runner, you probably aren't entering a half marathon trying to compete with anyone but yourself. And the pair of halves that accompany the Hatfield McCoy Marathon, however, are run in the spirit of feuding. The race splits up its participants into Hatfields and McCoys, and whichever team has the faster collective finish time gets bragging rights. The race starts in a grocery store parking lot where Hatfield McCoy reenactors fire off an old-timey rifle, so the race is really one of a kind. Yes, I've heard of this one before. You can follow them on social media. They always put out their medals. They're active, but it looks like a lot of fun. And yes, the bragging rights part of it would absolutely be a blast. Next one, this is a new one. The ET Full Moon Half Marathon. Okay. This is in Rachel, Nevada, Sunday, August 17th and 18th, 2024. Hold the phone. You want me to run a race in the desert in August? Boy, you better have some bling like I have never seen before. If you think I am running in the desert in August. Let us continue. Due to road closures and visibility, most half marathoners most half marathons are run on a weekend morning, but this alien-themed race is a full nighttime affair. Starting at midnight, runners will be completing the 13.1 completely in the dark, and with a course that nears the mysterious Area 51, you're liable to be sucked up by a UFO mid-race and never seen again. All runners are required to wear reflective vests and headlamps, with many accessorizing with glow sticks. Fingers crossed that any extraterrestrials you cross paths with are more ET and less alien. Okay, so it's a nighttime race. That helps a little. That's still the desert in August. I don't know. Next, the Kauai Half Marathon. Yeah, this won't be beautiful at all. This is in Poipu, Hawaii, if I'm saying that right. Sunday, September 1st, 2024. Kauai has been nicknamed the Garden Isle by Hawaiians, and even among the state's breathtaking collection of islands, it stands out for its diverse flora and fauna. This half not only provides views of Kauai's beaches and volcanic peaks, but also takes runners through the tunnel of trees within the island's lush tropical rainforest. The race starts with island natives blowing conch shells, and roadside entertainment includes hula dancers, so the race delivers the Hawaiian experience from start to finish. I'd run any race in Hawaii, just to be real honest. I don't really care how beautiful you tell me it is. It's Hawaii. I'm in. Next, the Arches Half Marathon. This is in Moab, Utah, Saturday, October 5th, 2024. Perhaps describing the Arches Half Marathon as fun might be deceptive, especially for runners looking for an easy race with a full gamut of amenities. Rather, this trail half marathon through Utah's wilderness is a sun-drenched affair that is largely unsupported and requires runners to carry their own water. What the race lacks in ease, however, it makes up for in natural splendor as it winds its way between the Canyonlands and Arches National Park. The race may be difficult, but it will be rewarding. Take that however you want. I won't see you there. Next is the Detroit International Half Marathon. Pretty sure we talked about this before. Detroit, Michigan, Sunday, October 20th, 2024. Why have fun running in one country when you can have fun running in two? Detroit's International Half Marathon, not to be confused with a version that remains solely in Michigan for those with visa issues, starts in the Motor City's downtown before crossing the Ambassador Bridge into Windsor, Canada. Runners then run along the riverfront past a Tim Hortons. You may even get Timbits bite-sized donuts. I don't know what Tim Hortons is. I guess a donut place. Sorry, I didn't mean to butcher that, but I was curious on what that is. Let's see. And through the tunnel back to Detroit in just 13.1 miles, you're an international world traveler. Sure. That would be one I would consider doing. And let's see here. So next up, we have the Disney Wine and Dine Half Marathon. And I know we have a lot of fans of the Disney races out there. I would love to do some myself. So this is in Orlando, Florida, October 31st through November 3rd is what they list. Run Disney hosts a number of themed halves every year, but the race celebrating Epcot's Food and Wine Festival every fall is a highlight. The course itself is lined with characters, photo ops, and entertainment. This is not a race to PR in, and you run through several of the Disney World parks and resorts. More importantly, though, entry comes with a pass into the after party held in Epcot that evening after the park closes. Join fellow runners to sample the international food and drinks, and the best bonus, try out some of the most popular attractions without the long lines. The weekend also includes a 5K and 10K. Well, that's cool. That actually sounds kind of fun. Next, the Tulsa Route 66 Half Marathon. Now, I've done the full marathon in Tulsa. I've never done the half, so let's see what they say about that. This, of course, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Sunday, November 23rd, 2024. Unless you've got a flat tire or ran out of gas, chances are you haven't gone for a jog on the famed Route 66. Well, yes, I have. Tulsa's half marathon, however, gives you that opportunity. And on the bridge over the Arkansas River, no less, the whole weekend is a zany community affair with race organizers sending out block party kits to those who live along the course, a separate race dedicated solely to people dressed in mascot costumes, and even an optional 0.3 mile extension to the marathon to make it the world's shortest ultramarathon.
Tulsa is putting on a party and you're just running through it.
So, yes, I've talked about that before. If you do the full for the Route 66, make sure you do the Center of the Universe detour. That is that 0.3 mile detour that makes it the shortest ultra ever. And you get to run through this really cool architectural thing called the Center of the Universe. You also get a challenge coin when you go through. So make sure you've got a pocket you can zip or something because they hand it to you while you're doing it. You still have to finish the rest of your marathon with that coin on you. So just be ready for that. But yeah, that's always fun and worth it. Next is the Thanksgiving Day Half Marathon located in Atlanta, Georgia, Thursday, November 28th, 2024. The Turkey Trot has become a time honored Thanksgiving morning tradition across the United States in the past few decades, with many towns throwing tiny 5Ks for families who wish to get some exercise before eating 48 pounds of candied yams. The Atlanta Track Club, however, has upped the ante for their Turkey Trot, providing a full half marathon for runners to enjoy. People will be dressed as pilgrims and turkeys, and you might have to miss part of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, but you'll be so hungry for pie by the end. I actually would be down for that. So here in our area in Kansas City, a lot of 5Ks, one 10K that I know of, but nothing more than that. The 10K is the most that we've got. I would actually be down for a Thanksgiving morning half marathon. So if any of our local race directors are listening, and if you're not, you should be, how about a Thanksgiving Day half marathon? I'm in. I'd be in for that.
That's just me. Next is the Spartan Beast.
This is various, and they put it on here because it is in the running world. Here's the thing. I don't know if I've talked about it before. I don't like the obstacle courses. I don't like the obstacle runs. Not my jam. I tried it before. So way back when there was a company out there, and some of you have heard of them, called Warrior Dash. I did 2 Warrior Dashes. I did it the first 2 years they came to my area. I thought they were terrible. They were horribly organized, woefully conducted, and I didn't have any fun whatsoever. Now I know that there are bigger and better ones now. There's, Spartan races, Tough Mudders, there's other stuff. It is not my jam. I did 2 of them. I didn't enjoy it. I was out there the year that 2 people freaking died at Warrior Dash because of the heat and their lack of any kind of medical preparedness. That company's gone out of business, so I don't care. F them. But I don't dig on it. So if you like it, by all means, have a great time. And I'm sure they're fun as a novelty every now and again. But that's not something you're ever going to get a whole lot of coverage on here on this podcast. Sorry ish, but that's not my jam. So,
They say there's one, and I know
Spartan races, various locations. Find one when it comes to your area if it's your jam. Okay.
cool. Moving on. The next one, the Space Coast Half Marathon. This is in Cocoa, Florida, December 1st, 2024. This is the last one listed on here. This waterfront race is centered around a space theme as it's in the vicinity of the Kennedy Space Center. The half marathon is unique as there are 2 different half marathon courses, north and south, to choose from. But don't worry, they're both mostly flat. It is Florida after all. If you're a NASA nerd, head for the north courses as you'll catch some views of the NASA vehicle assembly area. You'll also get a spacey medal upon finishing, plus a beach towel and moisture wicking shirt. And who knows, maybe see a rocket blast off. From my understanding of the current U.S. space program,
Your chances of seeing a rocket blasting off are slim, if not none, but I suppose the chances aren't zero. I wish they would say what the good part of the South Loop is. But anyway, so there are some half marathons for you to mull over this year. I know a lot of us right now are already full up on our running schedule. It is insane how much we've been booking out races, both myself and other members of the running community. One that we have added, and I don't think I've talked about on the show before, but we're going to Gulf Coast, Mississippi in December for the Gulf Coast Marathon. I'm going to be doing the full. A lot of people are going to do the half. It is along the Gulf Shore down there in Mississippi in the Gulf of Mexico. So I am really looking forward to that race. I think that's going to be beautiful, if nothing else. And I'm hoping because it is along the Gulf Shore, it's going to be mostly flat. I really don't see how you can throw a whole lot of hills at us when we're at sea level. That's just me. I've been wrong before, but I would take a nice flat little course along the ocean side. I think it should be beautiful. And in December, hopefully it will not be too terribly hot and humid. But you never know what the universe is going to throw at us when it comes to running weather. Because as I said at the start of the show, the Kansas weather right now has gone crazy and is going to be crazy throughout the rest of this week. So goodness only knows what's going to happen. So that's kind of what we've got coming up. We've got stuff coming up. These are some races that you might want to add to your calendar if any of them sounded great. And of course, I'm sure they all have social media presences you can follow. They all have websites if you want to look into it further. There are some that are connecting together and you can form kind of your own running series. Like the Gulf Coast one in Mississippi is hooked up with a Louisiana race in January. They're offering a challenge if you do the both of those together. So again, things to look into. The races really understand that the challenges, the shirts, the bling, that is what is bringing people to these races. That is what's getting people like me to travel around. We like doing challenges. We like cool medals. So the more races that go to it, the better chance you got. So again, race directors, whoever aren't listening to me, up your medal game. You're going to get more people. That's just the truth of it. When we did our race back in the fall last year, the race for the Back of the Pack podcast that we called the Casey Hustle Run, we knew our medals had to be money, and I still think they were. But we wanted people, you got to have the medals. So that's just kind of how I look at it. Other races look at it that way. Little Rock certainly looked at it that way. Again, still loving the medals. But that's big and something we will always be talking about here on the podcast, races with cool medals. And always look for our post on Medal Monday, social media wise, Instagram, Facebook. Medal Monday, we do a post. We talk about the medal that we got for the weekend. And then we definitely want you to please share your picture with your medal from whatever you earned that weekend. Or if you need to, if you didn't run that weekend, go in the Wayback Machine and show us a cool medal that you had earned previously. So again, we've got Medal Mondays. We are still kicking around the Tuesday idea. We had two awesome ideas for Tuesdays. We might alternate between the two. So we're going to get to that one. Traveling Tuesday, where you post a picture of a race you did kind of outside of your local area, and Training Tip Tuesday. I think we're going to alternate once we get that going. Wednesdays, we're still looking for a social media theme. Thursdays are Race Shirt Thursday, for wear a race shirt that you like and post that. Fridays are Flashback Fridays, an old picture from a previous race you ran from however long ago you feel like going. So that's it. One thing I would like to challenge us to do, the YouTube channel is woeful. Can we up our YouTube numbers? If you would be so kind, even if you don't really watch this podcast or listen to it on YouTube, but you have a YouTube account, will you go find the Back of the Pack podcast and just give us a like and make sure it's our new logo, kind of like the one on my hat, not the old one, not the old teal and white one, because I know that old channel is still up. I have no control over that channel. I can't delete that channel, but it doesn't have very many followers. I'm going to say that maybe by Fargo, our Fargo Marathon at the end of May, and I think I'm giving myself plenty of time here, I would love us to get well over 100 subscribers to YouTube by Fargo. And we're getting closer to 100 now. I would like to be over 100 by Fargo. So please, if you're still listening, if you could just go to YouTube, find the Back of the Pack podcast, and just give us a subscribe. That's all I ask for. That would be super great, and I'd really appreciate it. So remember, we're at the Expo this weekend for Rocket Parkway. Rocket Parkway Half Marathon. We'll be talking about that next week. Then we're on the road to South Carolina for the Too Slow for Boston Marathon. And we just keep on rolling through spring, baby, with whatever the weather decides to throw at us. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. It is my pleasure as always. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great week of training, and we will see you next week.